what's going on, Vikings fans? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we have some major news on the Vikings signing free agent defensive lineman from the Philadelphia Eagles, Milton Williams. And also, it seems like the Vikes got some interest in re-signing Aaron Jones. We'll break down Alec Lewis and the article he wrote up talking about just that. But before we dive into today's show, the Vikings, fun fact of the day, goes to actually former wide receiver and kick returner Percy Harvin, as he holds the longest verified non-scoring play in NFL history with a 104-yard kickoff return. Funny enough, on this drive, the Vikings actually had 0 points as they stalled out in a goal-to-go situation. So only the Vikings would have that fun fact for you guys. But, you know, going to start doing this more on today's show. But speaking about free agency coming up here in just a second, if you guys want the Vikes to go big in free agency, send the Vikings front office a message. Give me those skulls down below in the comments section. I would love if we could fill it up with over 1,000 skulls down below in the comment section. So if you guys want the Vikes to go big, hit me with a skull down below. So Alec Lewis talked about the Vikes potentially bringing in a big-time interior defensive lineman, and he said this. He said multiple team sources reiterated the team's commitment to adding players, emphasis on the plurality, to strengthen Minnesota's ability to push the interior of the pocket. Milton Williams, who starred in the Super Bowl for the Eagles, could be in play depending on his asking price and free agency. Another interesting candidate who flies in the face of Vikings' typical free agent checklist is Javon Hargrave, who is 32 and played minimally in 2024 because of a partially torn right tricep. There are other acquisition channels for interior defensive linemen too, including the draft. Flores flew to Indianapolis on Monday for formal interviews with interior defensive linemen. Cut candidates could also be in play. So I'm Milton Williams here first. I'm all in on the Vikes, giving this guy the bag in free agency. He is my number one, outside of an interior offensive lineman target for the Minnesota Vikings. It would be Milton Williams, because this guy is 26 years old, entering the prime of his NFL career, and he's coming off a monster season with the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm all in. I'm giving Milton Williams the bag in free agency. Now we'll discuss how that could, happen for the Vikes. But first here on Milton Williams. He had 5 sacks this past season. Really his breakout year. Now, he has a great motor from the interior of the defensive line. He's got great pass rush moves. He's actually one of the highest graded pass rush interior defensive linemen in the league. And he also, over the past 4 seasons, he's been consistent. He's been playing in the majority of these games, has never really dealt with any too big of injury concerns, but he really hit the scene hard in the Super Bowl, where he was unreal for the Philadelphia Eagles. He got home to Mahomes 2 times in this game, had 2 TFLs, had that forced fumble on Mahomes coming off his backside, and was able to knock the football loose, but he also had 1 QB hit in that game. And Milton Williams, man, he's a stud. I think he would add some great talent to the Vikings defensive line. And they've talked about, wanting to get home with 4. And I think you already have great edge rushers in Dallas Turner, in Gradard, in Van Ginkel. So how do you improve that? You sign a guy to a big deal in the interior of that defensive line. So how could it work out? Because you probably wouldn't be able to go spend big money on a guy like Will Fries. So this is the Milton Williams offseason plan. So he would be the big move. You sign him on a 3-year, $61 million deal. You go sign Kevin Zeitler on a 1-year, $8 million deal. Go plug and play at the left guard spot. You cut Garrett Bradbury, and you sign Drew Dahlman, where his PFF contract projection has gone up from $11 million to $14 million. So you give him a 4-year, $56 million deal. You re-sign Byron Murphy. You re-sign Aaron Jones. And if you do all of this, now you wouldn't be able to go all in on the interior offensive lineman besides Drew Dahlman, which this would be a big pickup. But if you could somehow leave free agency with Milton Williams, Drew Dahlman, then you go plug and play at the other guard spot with either Zeitler or a guy like Brandon Scherf, which we talked about a lot here on the channel. I think this would be an ideal free agency plan for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, it's going to come down to, do you want to give Milton Williams $21 million? I would. Again, it's a lofty price to pay for an interior defensive lineman who is great for the Eagles this past season, but it's not like he's put on 4 great years of tape where you would feel, perfectly comfortable with giving him $21 million. So would you give Milton Williams $21 million per year? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no down below in the comment section. You guys let me know your thoughts if you would pay Milton Williams $21 million per year. Now, I do want to show you guys a quick little quote on J.J. McCarthy coming in from an NFC scout. So he went back and he was watching J.J.'s film from the preseason game, and he had a lot of love to show number 9, saying this: I did not expect it to look that good. Anticipation throws, athleticism in the pocket, willingness to throw over the middle. I was very, very impressed. And this was coming in from an NFC scout talking about J.J. McCarthy. But it's official. It is J.J. McCarthy season here at Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I think we're only a couple days away from it being crystal clear that Sam Darnold is off this team. I think they're not going to tag him by tomorrow's 4 p.m. Tag deadline. And I think they're just going to let him walk, and I think they're going to turn the reins of this franchise over to J.J. McCarthy. So it's fully his team now. Again, I would be shocked. Maybe Darnold decides to return on a 2-year, $40 million deal, but that feels unlikely with the reports out there that he could get around $40 million per year. But it's pretty cool that an NFC scout went back, looked at that Raiders game, and was impressed by JJ, because I'll tell you what, I've watched that tape probably 100 times, and every time I watch it, I get more and more excited for training camp, for the preseason, and obviously the inevitable start of the regular season for the Minnesota Vikings. But coming up next on today's show, we are going to talk about the Vikings and their want to bring back Aaron Jones. As Alec Lewis is saying, the Vikings have a lot of interest there in re-signing number 33, and also number 33 has some interest in re-signing with the Minnesota Vikings. We'll break that down here in a second, but first, I want to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is PrizePicks. Now, if you guys download the PrizePicks app today and plug in that promo code CLNS, you guys will get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, what is PrizePicks? PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. Now, if you guys are trying to make a Timberwolves or a Wild game more interesting, PrizePicks is a great way to do so, because even if the game is a blowout, you guys can follow your PrizePicks lineup throughout the entire event and potentially put some cash in your back pocket. So download the PrizePicks app today. Plug in that promo code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today. Plug in promo code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. I got that link for you guys in the comments and description of today's show. But check them out. It's a great way to just put your basketball or hockey knowledge to the test. So check out PrizePicks today. Download that. Plug in promo code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. But massive shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, let's talk about number 33, Aaron Jones. The Vikings have some interest in bringing him back. Well, Alec Lewis, in a bombshell article earlier today, pretty much expressed that the Vikings have already met with Aaron Jones, and they got some interest in re-signing him. This is what he had to say, saying last week, Minnesota's brass met with Drew Rosenhaus, who represents a bevy of Vikings players, including running back Aaron Jones. The Vikings want to re-sign Jones, but even if they do, they're seeking a more of a by-committee approach. Expect the Vikings to draft the running back in the draft. And, listen, I think this is how it's going to play out. The Vikings going to re-sign Aaron Jones on a 1 or 2 year deal for about $7 to $8 million of average annual salary, and then they will draft the running back on day 2 or day 3. Now, I think the only way they do take a running back in round 1 is if you leave free agency and you have offensive line shirt up, cornerback shirt up, defensive line shirt up. That's the only way I could see them taking a running back in the draft. But if you take a guy on day 2 or day 3, there is a plethora of options that you could have. Like, I love a guy like a Devin Neal, a Cam Scadaboo, an Alec Gordon, an R.J. Harvey. Like, these are high-quality backs you could take either in the 2nd or 3rd round, or even trade out of the 3rd round and pick up one of these guys in the 4th or the 5th. But Devin Neal, this guy's got great vision. He follows his blocks extremely well, and he was awesome for the Jayhawks this past season. No fumbles, which is a great stat that I love to see, and I'm sure most Vikings fans, love that as fumbling. It's definitely been an issue for the purple and gold over the last couple of years. But this guy's a stud. He's great at following his blocks, and I also do feel like he's got great breakaway speed as well. But a guy that fixed the goal line issues for the Vikes, how about Arizona State running back Cam Scadaboo? Now, this guy's a do-it-all back, had 24 total touchdowns. You can put him on the goal line, and he can just kind of be that bulldozer, and you can use him in a plethora of different ways. Like, you can have him catching the ball. You can have him even throwing the ball, which we saw. But he had over 1,700 yards, 5.8 yards per clip, and over 600 yards through the air. But a guy that was supposed to be a first-round pick heading into the year, but, definitely had a down year, is Alec Gordon of the Oklahoma State Cowboys, who only had 190 carries this past past season, so he's a little more fresh than these other guys, but just over at 880 yards, 4.6 yards per clip. Did have 14 touchdowns this past season and 2 fumbles. But another guy I love, whether that's round 3 or round 5 for the Vikes, is R.J. Harvey. Ran a great 40 this past NFL scouting combine. Has great breakaway speed, 232 carries, 1,500 yards, 6.8 yards per carry. Does have some dual threat ability as well. But, my take on drafting a running back is pretty simple here. You just have to. This year's draft class is too deep and too talented to not draft a running back. And if you want to take advantage of just a loaded class, the Vikings are in a great spot to do so because you got a lot of money to spend in free agency. Yes, you have limited draft capital, but you still will have some funds to toss at a running back. So you guys let me know. Name a running back the Vikings need the draft. I'm going, if I had to give one, I'll give the fun name. I'll go Cam Scatterboo, but you guys let me know. Name a running back the Vikings need the draft. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Now, if you guys also want to hit me up on Twitter, that's the handle, @PatSieps. Give me a follow over there. I'll give you guys a follow right back, but thank you guys so much for watching. Let's go Vikes.